All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of these review problems. Remember, you should only be doing this or looking at this video after you've attempted them on your own or with a partner, or if you're working on this for homework. But do not try this before you've given it a shot on your own. Okay? Let's take a look at number one. Jason has 5/10 of a jar of jelly beans. Parker has 50 hundredths of a jar. Which person has more? Okay, so we'll go ahead and just shade in. Let's see, we have Jason with 5/10. So we'll shade those in. And Parker has 50 hundredths. So even though Parker has 50, the hundredths are smaller, so there's 10 units in each row. So we're basically counting by tens here. Here we count by 1 to get to 5/10. Here we go, count by tens to get to 50 hundredths. So the question is, which person has more? They have equal amounts. Since we can tell that the grids are showing the same amount in each grid. 1/10 is equal to 10 hundredths. So 5/10 is equal to 50 hundredths. Number two. Alison read 37 hundredths of her book. I'm going to circle that. How many tenths of her book did she read? How many hundredths of her book did she read? Show both answers. Okay, so I know she's got 37 hundredths. And this says to break it up into tenths and hundredths. So I'm just going to make two separate values here. Here's tenths and here's hundredths. Now, if I'm looking at tenths, I can think about, well, this is the one that's in the tenths place. So if I'm, instead of doing 30 hundredths, I can think of it as 3/10. And then this place will stay the same. This is the hundredths place, so 7 hundredths. 3/10 plus 7 hundredths. You could also do it as decimals. Equals 3/10 plus 7 hundredths. There's both answers separately. Both answers here, both answers here. As on 3, Larry rode his bike for 78 hundredths of a mile. Show approximately how far he rode on a number line. Okay, so I saw it said number line, and I also saw that it said hundredths. Now, I can't put 100 lines on here, so I'm going to have to do tenths. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'll label. Skipping, so I can only label the even one so I don't get too crowded. Now it says he rode for 78 hundredths of a mile. So 78 hundredths, I know that's going to be close to 78 hundredths is close to 80 hundredths, and 8/10 is the same as 80 hundredths. So I think 78 hundredths is going to be a little less than 80 hundredths. So I'd say it's about right there. That is approximately 78 hundredths on the number line. Here's 4. Dean ate 65 hundredths of his pizza. Charles ate 4/10 of his pizza. Show who ate more with a number line. So we're looking for who ate more. So let's set up a number line. And this is hundredths, this is tenths, but I'm not going to be able to draw 100 lines on here. So I'll just draw 10, and we'll get an approximate answer. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we'll label. Labeling every other, so I'm not too crowded. Okay, first thing. Dean ate 65 hundredths. Well, I don't see hundredths on here, so I know 65. Well, I'm going to round that to 60. 60 hundredths is close to 6/10. So this would be 60 hundredths. This would be 70 hundredths. So I think 65 hundredths would be right about here. So this is Dean. Now I have Charles eating 4/10. Well, 4/10 is on here. That's easy. Here's Charles. So the question is, who ate more? We know that Dean ate more. And we proved it on the number line because, as you can see, Dean is closer to 1 whole. Or he's farther along the number line than Charles is. 5. Bailey watched TV for 5/10 of an hour. Katherine watched TV for 3/10 of an hour. Show who watched for longer with pictures. Okay. Now, I know that this is a decimal and it says tenths. And I know tenths is like a fraction, so I can just draw a fraction that has 10 spaces in it. So I'm just going to do that. And I'll just do it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there's 10 there. And I'll do it again here. 2 fractions on top of each other, same size. Both have 10 squares. And I'll label them. Here we have Bailey. And here is Katherine. Now, Bailey watched TV for 5/10 of an hour. So just think about it like a regular fraction, 5/10. So these are tenths. I'll fill in 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Katherine watched TV for 3/10 of an hour. So 3/10, these are tenths. I'll fill in 3. Show who watched for longer. I can show you that Bailey watched for longer than Katherine. And 5/10 is greater than 3/10. And you can see it right here. Bailey watched for longer than Katherine did. 5/10 greater than 3/10. Number 6. Monica vacuumed 3/10 of her house. Her sister Rachel vacuumed another 48 hundredths. Okay, so I've got, here's Monica. She vacuumed 3/10. And Rachel vacuumed 48 hundredths. How much of the house have the girls vacuumed all together? So I know that wants me to add. All right, so how am I going to add 3/10 and 48 hundredths? Looks like I'm going to have to use some type of equivalent fraction here. So let's write this in a number sentence. 3/10 plus 48 hundredths equals blank. So I've got tenths and hundredths here. I don't think I can change these hundredths back to tenths because 48, you can't make 48 hundredths into tenths. But I think I can turn tenths into hundredths. 3/10 could be equal to 30 hundredths. And this should be easy to add. 30 hundredths plus 48 hundredths. Actually, let's stack that real quick just to make sure we don't make a mistake. 0 plus 8 is 8. 3 plus 4 is 7. So 30 hundredths plus 48 hundredths equals 78 hundredths of their house. That's how much they vacuumed all together. 78 hundredths of their house. 7. Jerry's bag weighs 33 hundredths of a pound. That's Jerry. And George's bag weighs 5/10. How much of their bags do they combined? Okay, so combined, that's another addition problem. All right, so let's go ahead and write these down. We've got, here's Jerry, he's 33 hundredths. And here's George, he is 5/10. I need to add. I'll do this 2 ways. Here it is in fractions. I'm going to do it also in decimals. So here's 33 hundredths. Here's 5/10. All right, so to add in fractions, I need to make these both have the same denominator. I can't make 33 hundredths equal tenths, but I can make 5/10 equal hundredths. So we're going to turn 5/10 into 50 hundredths. Now, let me just add this on the side. 33 plus 50, 3 plus 0 is 3, 3 plus 5 is 8. 33 hundredths plus 50 hundredths equals 83 hundredths. I'll do the same thing here. I'm just going to move these tenths over here so I can stack it. 0 and 5/10. Addition. 3 plus nothing is 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. decimal, 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 0, 0, 0. 0.83, also known as 83 hundredths. And these two answers are the same. They are correct. 8. Elaine's puppy is 72 hundredths of a foot tall. So Elaine, her puppy is 72 hundredths of a foot tall. Kristen's kitten is 7/10 of a foot tall. So here's Kristen. She has a kitten. It's 7/10 of a foot tall. Whose pet is taller? Show your work with a greater than, less than, equal to sentence. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this in fractions. Let me rewrite these as decimals. And this is 7/10. Okay, so I'm just going to compare these two numbers, looking at each place value one at a time. So we'll start with the ones place. That looks the same. It's not telling me one is any greater than the other. So I'll go to the next place value. They both have a 7 in the tenths place, so those are the same. That doesn't tell me anything. And I have a 2 here and nothing here. And this nothing could also be a 0. Either way, the 2 is greater than nothing, 2 is greater than 0. So that is where a number ends up being greater than the other one. So I know that Elaine's puppy is taller. So let me write this in a number sentence. Here's Elaine's puppy, and it is greater than or taller than Kristen's kitten. And there's your answer. Number 9, the snail crawled 60 hundredths of a mile on Thursday. So on Thursday, the snail crawls 60 hundredths of a mile. It crawled 6/10 of a mile on Friday. So here's Friday. It crawled 6/10 of a mile. Which did the snail crawl farther? Show your answer with a greater than, less than, equal to sentence. All right, so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure these are lined up. So let's just kind of scoot these over so we can compare them easily. Always line up your problems if you are comparing decimals. So, largest place value, ones, no difference. They're the same. Go to the next largest place value. Tenths, I have 6/10 here, 6/10 here. They're the same. Hundredths, 0, and I have nothing here, which could also be 0, so those are the same. So I just found out that on both days, whatever distance that the snail crawled, here's Thursday, here's Friday, there was no difference in their digits, so they are equivalent or equal. And here's number 10. Jimmy has painted this much of his wall. So just imagine this is the wall of his room. Write the value in fraction, decimal, expanded, and word form. Okay, so the first thing I got to do is count. Let's count columns, which can be counted as tenths, or we could count 10 at a time, like we're counting hundredths. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68. Okay, so it says 68 of those squares out of the whole 100 are filled in. So I'll do the fraction first. That's probably the easiest. 68 hundredths. Now I need to write that as a decimal, so I'm going to put my decimal down. 68 hundredths. Nothing's over 100. There's no mixed number, so I'm going to have 0 in the ones place. 68 hundredths. Expanded form, which means two different place values. Okay? So let's go ahead and, actually I'm going to do it both ways. I need tenths and hundredths. So I can see there's a 6 in the tenths place and an 8 in the hundredths place. So that's one way you could answer it. You could also answer it like this. 6/10 plus 8 hundredths. If that's not clear, that's a 0. Let me just make sure that's perfectly clear. 6/10 plus 8 hundredths, 6/10 plus 8 hundredths. Expanded notation, they're broken up into their different place values. Okay, there's the last answer in there for you real quick, just so we don't run out of time. Please rewind, check back, pause, look at any problems you need to see again, and use this to study for your test. See you next time.